Welcome back to Skytech-Lens. Let's talk tariffs, specifically the kind that suddenly make your can of soda feel like a luxury item. On June 4, 2025, President Trump announced a 50% tariff on imported aluminum, doubling down on an earlier 25% tariff. The goal: protect American metal industries, bring back jobs, and bolster national security. The message: buy American, build American. But the American economy is a complex machine. Pull one lever and a dozen things start to rattle. While tariffs aim to help domestic aluminum producers, they create headaches for companies that use aluminum: car makers, plane builders, and yes, soda can manufacturers. Suddenly, the cost of a simple can skyrockets. These companies aren't just faceless corporations. They employ millions and are part of vast supply chains. When aluminum prices surge, they face tough choices: absorb the cost, pass it to consumers, or overhaul their production. This single policy has sent shockwaves through boardrooms nationwide. Do they stick with aluminum and risk profits, or change materials and risk everything else? The tariff, meant to protect, has forced a scramble to adapt to a much more expensive reality. And that's just the beginning. Enter Coca-Cola, a brand as American as it gets, and a massive consumer of aluminum. In 2023, a quarter of all Coca-Cola drinks in the US were sold in cans, billions every year. But the US doesn't produce enough aluminum. Nearly half is imported, mostly from Canada. A 50% tariff on imports directly hits Coca-Cola's bottom line. CEO James Quincey called the tariffs a direct threat to the business. The government's move to help smelters is squeezing soda giants. For Coca-Cola, this isn't a minor hiccup, it's a fundamental challenge to their business model. Their efficient can-based system is suddenly much more expensive. Can they keep relying on a material so vulnerable to political whims? The can's biggest advantage, cost-effectiveness, has evaporated. Now Coca-Cola must decide: stick with the iconic can and face soaring costs, or make a drastic change and risk alienating loyal customers. The conundrum is real and the stakes are high. The company's next move could reshape not just its own future but the entire beverage industry. The tariff has turned a simple can into a major corporate dilemma, and there's no easy answer. With aluminum costs soaring, Coca-Cola considered a controversial solution: switching to plastic bottles. Financially, it makes sense. Plastic is cheaper and Coca-Cola already uses it for half its packaging. But this is a devil's bargain. For years, Coca-Cola has faced criticism for its plastic waste. A shift from recyclable aluminum to more single-use plastic would be a PR disaster. Many customers prefer cans for taste and experience. Abandoning them risks alienating loyal fans. The timing couldn't be worse. Coca-Cola recently lowered its recycled material targets, drawing criticism. Doubling down on plastic would look like abandoning environmental commitments. The company is caught: absorb tariff costs and risk profits, or switch to plastic and risk its reputation. Either way, the fallout is huge. This is the unintended consequence of a policy made far from the soda aisle. The choice isn't just about packaging, it's about brand identity and public trust. And the world is watching. The aluminum tariff isn't just Coca-Cola's problem, it's everyone's. Beer, soup, pet food, if it comes in a can, it's affected. Small craft brewers and family businesses are hit hardest. They can't easily switch materials or absorb costs. The Can Manufacturers Institute warns of factory closures and job losses if companies abandon cans. Studies show tariffs may create a few smelting jobs but cause bigger losses in manufacturing. The policy meant to help one industry is hurting many more. It's a classic case of unintended consequences. The shift from aluminum to plastic isn't just a business move, it's an environmental setback. Aluminum is infinitely recyclable, using far less energy than making new cans. Plastic, while recyclable, is less efficient and often ends up as waste. Coca-Cola is already a top plastic polluter. More plastic would be a major step backward. This move clashes with global efforts to reduce single-use plastics. Aluminum remains the more sustainable choice, but tariffs make it less viable. The policy punishes the greener option and rewards the less sustainable one. It's an environmental own goal driven by trade politics. The planet pays the price. So why impose such a disruptive tariff? The administration's answer: national security. The argument is that America must produce its own metals for defense, free from foreign reliance. Tariffs are meant to revive domestic smelters and restore industrial strength. Supporters say it's about pride, sovereignty, and fighting unfair trade practices. Critics call it economic hardball that hurts more than it helps. The debate pits national security against economic reality. The backlash has been fierce, not just from Coca-Cola but from brewers, car makers and manufacturers across the board. Their message tariffs are attacks on American businesses and consumers. Even if all U.S. smelters reopen, domestic supply can't meet demand. Imports are essential. Most aluminum comes from allies like Canada, not adversaries. The policy, they argue, disrupts stable supply chains and makes U.S. companies less competitive. Some fear companies will move production abroad to avoid tariffs, costing American jobs. The cure, they say, is worse than the disease. The fight is far from over. So who pays for these tariffs? Ultimately, it's the consumer. Companies can't absorb a 50% cost hike, they pass it on. Prices for cans of soda, beer, soup, and more will creep up. The increases may seem small, but they add up, especially for families on tight budgets. Tariffs function as a regressive tax, hitting lower-income households hardest. For some, tariffs mean new jobs in smelting. For others, layoffs in can making or brewing. The policy creates clear winners and losers. The cost of living rises, and the American economy is left to sort out the fallout. What started as a move to protect one industry ripples through every aisle of the supermarket. The real price of protectionism is paid at the checkout. The debate over tariffs is more than numbers. It's about who gets squeezed and who gets saved. And for most Americans, the squeeze is already on. The story isn't over yet. As of August 2025, the future of the aluminum tariff is uncertain. Will the government hold firm, or will industry pressure force a reversal? Will Coca-Cola switch to plastic, or find another way? How will consumers respond? Pay more, switch brands, or demand change? This is a real-world test of what we value: jobs, low prices, or the environment. The humble Coke can is now a symbol of a much bigger debate. Next time you open one, remember, you're opening a can of worms. Thanks for watching a video and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Thanks.